Welcome to Recently Logged. Water, earth, fire, air, and eventually, if James Cameron is given enough money, we'll get all of those in the Avatar series.
Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure it's actually confirmed that we're getting fire people, like Fire Navi.
Fire Navi.
In one of the Avatar sequels.
You know?
So eventually Avatar and Avatar will combine.
We need like mole people Navi for the Earth Nation.
The Fire Nation will attack, right?
That's what I said. James Cameron's like galaxy brained in game is he like eventually like in Avatar 16 or something starts to recreate
it's just
Avatar the Last Airbender.
It's just the plot of Avatar the Last Airbender. He sets up all of these nations, and then like the Fire Nation will attack, and they'll kill off all the air people. And
exactly.
Again, I said he's already laying the groundwork with Sigourney Weaver's Jesus character.
Exactly.
Because she'll secretly have like some Iowa connection where she like inherits the souls and powers of all the previous Iowa chosen ones, and she'll essentially be the last airbender.
Wow.
So we know where you're going.
We've already planned it out. You think you're so clever, Jim.
Jim, if you will. Mr. Cameron.
But yes, welcome to our podcast. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Micah.
And we're talking about movies yet again.
Again? Man, get a new bit.
We talked about another Jim Cameron movie earlier this season? No, last season.
It was a while ago.
It was a little while ago.
When we decided to dive into the world of Pandora. And we had to wait in a long line just to get a stupid little charm bracelet. So instead we went and decided to watch Avatar.
Yeah, no, we saw Avatar. We did a whole episode about it. So you can go listen to that. We also did cover Aliens earlier this season,
we realizing. Did. So that's
Jim
another...
Cameron.
I don't think we did Titanic.
We have not done an episode on Titanic, sadly.
We're not hitting up all of the Jim Cameron movies. But we're back, and now we're talking about Avatar, The Way of Water.
Yeah, well past its cultural significance, but here we are, talking about it nonetheless.
You know what? It had a little bit more staying power than the first Avatar in the public conscious.
Yeah.
I still get Instagram memes sometimes on my search page for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's stuck around a little more, at least to my memory, compared to the first one.
I remember one day, and I'll just share this anecdote before we move on and take too long in our intro.
Okay.
But as to my comment, one day, pretty close to when Avatar The Way of Water came out, I went onto my Instagram search, and I never search like anything. I just don't. I hardly use Instagram, and I only follow people who are like suggested from my followers. Like they're like, oh, you're friends with this person, you might also be friends with that person. Yeah. And I'm like, I am friends with that person.
What a coincidence. I am.
So I'll follow them. So I like hardly ever search anything, but I clicked the search, and almost the entire thing, because it pops up all of the different squares of suggested posts.
I remember when Instagram
I tweeted about it. Almost every single one was the same format Avatar meme. It was the exact same one with different text, like 9 times.
Avatar is so easily memeable.
And it was the funniest thing, because I just opened it up and was assaulted by like 9 of what's-his-face, the weird military Avatar man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny.
Good times.
Right? That just shows the cultural significance. And this time we're in the TikTok era with this one. So we had like TikTok people like
Jake Sully
thirsting over the Na'vi, which is hilarious. The Neytiri fan cam, the Jake Sully fan cam, and people being like, yeah.
we need a PAYA fan cam.
And where's our PAYA fan
I feel like I did see one.
Now you gotta make one, Robbie, like the Calcifer fan cam. You're contractually obligated. The recently logged audience once more.
Oh no.
But before we drag this on way too long, before we also get into like talking about the movie, we have an important, fun, and exciting announcement to make.
An announcement? What?
It's crazy.
We never announce anything.
It's true. We never plan anything, so what would we have to announce?
Yeah. We got an announcement.
We did a giveaway a couple episodes ago. We started one on our Alien Covenant episode. We did one for Prometheus. We did one for Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
I'd like to say we might even do some more in the future at some point, because I think it's really fun. I don't know if you guys like that.
It's like a fun extra thing to add on,
Yeah,
and it doesn't take take too much work on our end.
Or that much money either
Yeah.
to like give out a digital copy.
Exactly.
So it's nice. But we are going to announce the winner. We just chose the winner before we started recording this episode.
We handpicked them on which person we liked best.
It's true. If you didn't get picked, it's because we hate you.
No, we randomly selected the winner through a random number generator. Don't worry, guys.
You will find no coincidences about the name of the first winner of the Prometheus giveaway and the name of the second winner.
I feel like
Don't worry about
I feel like
it.
no one except for the winner of the first giveaway even remembers who the name is.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll explain the joke to
Okay.
where everyone finds it funny.
Who won the Alien Covenant digital copy, Micah?
Who won the Alien Covenant digital copy? Ryan won the Alien Covenant digital copy.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks for listening.
We're friends with Ryan on Twitter.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, he won the digital copy, and we're going to be sending it to him right before this episode comes out. So Ryan, if you're listening, check your inbox.
Yeah, check it.
And the code should already be in there.
Exactly. And you can redeem it, and that'll be super fun. And then you can watch Alien Covenant and then listen to our episode again with the new knowledge
Amazing.
you've obtained after watching the movie.
The brand new set of eyes that you can now scan Alien Covenant with.
But yeah, there's no relation to the fact that Brian and Ryan won the giveaway.
I think it is very funny that like the two movies are very closely related, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and then also the winners of the giveaway are Ryan and Brian.
We have a prejudice. If your name ends with Ian, you're gonna win.
Yeah,
So
guaranteed.
Any other Ians out there, you gotta enter in our next giveaway.
Stay tuned. Yeah,
But let's get into what you actually need to know about the movie.
let's do it.
All right, again, we are talking about Avatar: The Way of Water,
Or Avatar 2, as some have called it.
which is a 2022 film rated PG-13. It is 3 hours and 12 minutes, probably being one of the longest movies we've talked about on here.
Yeah, probably.
Its IMDb description is, Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora.
Yeah.
Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and an army of the Na'vi race to protect their home.
Yeah, basically.
Kind of.
In a nutshell.
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
It stars, of course, Sam Worthington.
Shout out to Sam Worthington.
Zoe Saldaña. I love how I just Saldana.
I was about to, you're adding another syllable.
I love
there.
how I just looked it up and I said I get so nervous about I have dyslexia and I'm bad at just pronouncing names. I get so nervous. I pronounced it correct previously.
Before you looked it up, yeah.
To see if I pronounced it correct. I did, and then mispronounced it on the podcast. I have skill in that department.
Wow.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mess this one up. According to Ravi, this would be Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang,
Not
yeah.
Stephen Lang.
I mean, it could be Stefan for all I know, but...
Yeah. Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Cliff Curtis. Joel David Moore. And a lot of people. There's a lot of characters in this movie.
There's a lot of people.
I want to shout out...
we didn't even get, like, Spider or Loak or anything.
This is weirdly
kids.
laid out on IMDb.
Yeah.
Jack Champion as Spider.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Directed by James Cameron, Mr. Jim Cameron, if you will.
I love how he introduces himself as Jim Cameron all the time.
Right? Yeah, I feel like I'm obligated to call him Jim Cameron. Written by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Josh Friedman, and Shane Salerno.
Salerno, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't know it had so many writers, though. That's interesting.
You gotta have a big writer's room, Ravi.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's got like 4 credited I can't speak in general, editors. I was doing so well on this podcast. I felt very articulate, and now I can't say anything.
Wow.
It's edited by Steven, Rivkin, Jim Cameron, David Brenner, and John Refua.
Oh, very cool.
Probably. I fear for the editor's room when Jim Cameron would come in.
Yeah, I was about to say, I knew he was like an editor and a screenwriter and like, you know, the lead producer and director of the movie. So he has a lot of creative control.
Yeah, I've heard stories of what he's like sometimes on productions, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I think it makes a good movie. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Cinematography by Russell Carpenter.
Yeah, man.
Pretty crazy.
How about that?
Anything else of note? There's like 1 billion people on the visual effects.
Abel Tesfaye did an original song for the movie. If that counts or anything.
Formerly known as The Weeknd.
Formerly known as The Weeknd, exactly.
I was gonna see who did the music, but I don't see that
The actual
anywhere.
score.
Yeah.
It just appeared, Micah. The movie was so good that it just appeared out of thin air.
It's true. But yeah, anything else you want to add about Avatar: The Way of Water, Ravi?
I don't know.
Any fun facts?
Not really.
Information?
I looked on Apple Music and it says Simon Franklin
Very cool.
did the score.
Also, of note, it won 1 Oscar for Best Achievement in Visual Effects.
Well,
and it was nominated for Best Sound, Best Motion Picture, and Best Achievement in Production Design.
I feel like if you're like releasing a movie with a lot of visual effects, you like want to plan it around the next Avatar movie so that you can actually have a shot at winning.
Do not release your crazy visual effects movie at the same time as an Avatar movie. It's a losing battle if you want to win an Oscar.
Yeah, I remember actually on our Oscar predictions episode, we predicted that it was going to win VFX, obviously. And I predicted that I think maybe I chose it for production design. I don't remember if I actually thought it was going to win, but I wanted it to win.
I don't even remember what won production design, honestly.
Yeah, no.
The Oscars aren't that memorable, but
No.
it was fun to do.
But it
We'll
was
probably
fun.
do it this year again.
I was just tying it back around to a past episode, Micah.
But yeah, that's what you need to know about The Way of Water in a very roundabout, kind of lengthy,
way.
kind of annoying to listen to probably way, because I cannot speak.
But yeah, now that you know at least something about Avatar: The Way of Water, let's get into what we actually thought of the movie.
Let's do it. You know, this is a random anecdote, especially being that I haven't seen Succession.
Well,
But I have L to the OG stuck in my head for all you Succession fans
that's
out there.
that's very funny, Micah.
It's stupid catchy, and it's such a bad song.
Micah constantly thinks about PAYA the whale and L to the OG.
It's true.
That's all that occupies
we
his
need the
thoughts.
Succession Way of Water crossover. That's what needs to happen.
Amazing.
But Robbie,
Yes.
what do you think of Avatar: The Way of Water?
I think that I like it
Whoa.
even better than the first movie, honestly.
Whoa.
I think, like, yeah, any given day I would probably turn this on over the first Avatar, which is saying something, because for those who remember my Avatar review, I'm pretty fond of that movie.
It's pretty fun.
Especially after, like, seeing it in theaters again. But yeah, I really enjoy The Way of Water. I think it's a very cool sequel. I'm glad that the villain from the first movie, Quadrich, is back.
I don't think that's how you say
Quaritch.
it. Quaritch.
Yes, I put another syllable in there, Micah.
Yeah, like me.
But yeah, like, I like the villain. I like that, like, all the new characters. I love Payakan, as everyone does.
Payakan is the greatest character in cinema.
I love, like, I don't know, I just like the movie a lot. It's a very strange movie in a lot of ways. Like, even compared to the first one, it's very, like, unconventional in its blockbuster isms, even though it has, like, a pretty conventional, like, third act and everything, which is really good.
Yeah.
Like, I love the final set pieces. I love, like, all the set pieces in this movie, basically.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who were, like, saying they would not be on board with the movie if it wasn't for the third act.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's, like, almost a hangout movie for, like, a solid hour and 45 minutes. But, like, it's doing so much thematic work and, like, character work and, like, fun world setup. I don't know. Like I'm never bored watching Avatar: The Way of Water, and the emotional beats get me every time, even though like watching them in my brain, I'm like, this is kind of cliche, but like I don't know, something about it, like the world feels so fully realized and the characters feel so like real. I don't know. It always punches more, packs more of an emotional punch than I expect when I'm watching it. Like I've cried both times.
Wow.
And I'm like, nah, I'm not. Why would I cry at The Way of Water? That's so lame. And then it gets to like, spoilers, like the death near the end of the movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Why would they do this to me? But yeah, it's very good. I think it's one of my favorite films of 2022, and I would gladly watch it just about any time. It's a really fun movie, I think.
Robbie's not in a movie mood at all. Somebody's like, turn on The Way of Water. 3-hour and 13-minute movie.
I mean, it's fun. Like it's just a fun movie. I don't know, and it makes me. I don't know. I really like God metaphor.
I really
water.
like God.
Yeah, hot take. I like God. I really like water as like a metaphor for God. So this is very much my cup of tea.
And Sigourney Weaver Jesus.
Sigourney Weaver Jesus, exactly.
That's good. That's good stuff. Whoever thought of that?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, even removed from the context of Avatar franchise.
I know, but like,
yeah, it's a very cool movie, I think, and it has a lot to do, and I enjoy it. So, what about you, Micah?
What do I think?
What do you think of The Way of Water?
What do I think of The Way of Water?
It connects all things.
It connects all things, and really, there's nothing more beautiful than that.
Indeed.
I really like Avatar: The Way of Water. I like it even more than I like Avatar.
Whoa.
Shocker, shocker. I think what it's doing is really, really unique as a film. I would barely stretch to call it like, honestly, I'd barely call it a blockbuster, even though I know it is.
It very much is.
It's just doing so much that's so different from a lot of films that you go for. And I think it's one that, when experienced in the right context, really, really can just be so nice to be in. I think it perfectly balances a lot of its kind of, at least in a theater, perfectly balances a lot of its kind of hangout, not really much like, oh, what's going to happen? They're just kind of existing.
I was about to say, a lot of the middle of this movie,
the prologue takes like an hour.
It's just them like learning about the water village and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like that's really the entire middle of the movie, where not much plot is actually happening.
Yeah, so I think it balances that extremely well with its third act. I think it's got some phenomenal action, some outstanding performances, some mind-bogglingly good visuals. I mean, I know everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's the visuals, but like this movie's visuals literally are incredible.
The fact that they have Spider walking around with all of the like mocap people and interacting seamlessly with them.
No, and like the fact that they were like, oh, what if like we made Avatar, which was a very hard movie to get to look good, and this time we put it all in moving water.
Oh my goodness, they had to simulate the water for, oh no. It gives me a headache just thinking about making any scene from this movie.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and it pulls it off just so well. I would say, like, the fact that it pulls off especially the emotional point of, again, like, spoilers, Neteyam's death.
Whoa. Way more specific.
And like I think that is a really like just the emotional drive of that moment throughout the finale, and the anger and like visceral feeling of the finale is just one of the most memorable set pieces. Like it makes the boat one of the most memorable set pieces in like an action movie in a while.
It's so cool.
I just love being in this movie, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I will say at home I don't think it works quite as well. But on a rewatch, I would say it works better than on a first watch. So it's kind of this combination of when we rewatched it at home instead of in theaters in IMAX Real D 3D.
Yeah, I'm sad we haven't experienced the high frame rate yet, because even at home, I don't think it was like true high frame rate.
Yeah, so we never. Well, to be fair, again, James Cameron specifically said that the high frame rate shouldn't be watched on 2D.
Yeah, it needs to be, which we did not watch the high frame rate 3D. It was just like the regular IMAX 3D. So.
Yeah, but It does, like, so there was that little trade-off, but it still was really, really enjoyable both times.
Yeah, no, man. I had such a good time with it in theaters. Like, I think in my initial review, I said a lot of the middle portion feels kind of aimless and like not like in a bad way all the time, but like it just didn't hold me the entire time. And on the second watch, I was much more on board.
Yeah, I think it's just like the truth with this film. Like, you can't avoid it with this film. The fact that when you're first watching it, you don't know where it's going to go, and because you don't know where it's going to go,
you're like, why are we watching?
It feels like it's going nowhere.
Yeah,
and that feeling is still a little bit there on a rewatch, but a lot less so.
Yeah, well, and I mean, a lot of that, like the beginning portion and the middle portion, is just making you actually care about like all of these characters.
Yeah, there's so much it has to cover. I kid you not, like the first hour is like a prologue, essentially, catching you up on things before they time jump and then time jump again.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, again, for what it is, it pulls it off exceptionally well. I gave the movie a 4.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 5 out of 5. I was a little hesitant to give it a perfect score, but like at the end of the day, I don't know what I would even like change about it. Like, it's pretty much perfect for what it's trying to do.
I don't know inherently what I would change, but I don't think it has the 5-star juice. I definitely think it has some problems, though I don't know exactly what I would do to fix them.
Yeah. But yeah, cool movie, I say.
Indeed. Do you have a question, Lou, to open us up into a little bit of deeper conversation?
Sure. Okay, I'll come up with one. What do you think of like all of the new characters that this movie introduces? Because it has like,
it pretty much doesn't follow Jake as a main character.
Yeah, since a lot of the like characters die in the first Avatar movie, they like buff out like the side character list.
No, I think it does a really smart job. Honestly, like, as much as I think they could have made a whole movie work in, like, the tree thing again, it would have felt like such a rehash to have, the humans return and them still be in the same location with the same people in the same village. So I'm really actually pretty glad we moved away from that location.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that Jake just isn't really the main character of the story.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I pretty much love all of his kids. All of the characters are really, really great. Even, like, Took isn't really in the movie.
Took isn't really a character.
It's so funny, though, because she just gets dragged around into every single dangerous situation. Right. She does nothing. She contributes nothing the entire movie. But, like, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
But she'll just, like, again, she doesn't really add anything to any scenes. So then they'll just be like, she'll be like, can I come? And I'm like, wow, that's a bad idea. But they're all like, sure, Took. And then immediately things go wrong.
Right.
So her siblings keep putting her in danger. But yeah, I really love Loak and Neteyam and
Kiri.
Yes, yeah. Kiri. And especially Kiri, man. And Spider is surprisingly works. Why does Spider work? Look at Spider. What's wrong? What's going on? But yeah, I love all of those characters. I think, especially in future movies, we'll get a lot more buffing out on some of the other side characters. I think the Water Village kids are like
the
fun.
Village people
are fun, but they definitely aren't given enough like characterization for me to be like, oh, I love these characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of like the kids, like the Water Village kids, have enough characterization that I actually like cared about them.
No, I cared about them, but I'm not like, oh yeah, these were like
can't wait to see more of them. Yeah,
they do just enough, which is fine given the movie. They didn't really have time to do other things, but they give you just enough to really care about their safety and feel good about the growth of their relationship and friendship with all of the kids together.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a genius move to make all of the kids kind of the leads of the movie.
Yeah, Taylor Williams, in his review, he was mentioning how essentially the entire movie is about like middle child syndrome. And I'm like, that's funny.
Honestly, though, think about it.
Yeah, I was about to say the entire like emotional payoff for the movie is basically that, like growing to love like your siblings and appreciate them and everything.
And for like Jake to not be as hard on his
Yeah.
middle child who does
Right.
not live up to his expectations of his older child.
Yeah, no, and like a lot of it is just like really simplistic. And like I would say this about the first Avatar too, like a lot of the emotional beats and like even just the plot of the movie is pretty simple.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, Jim Cameron has such a odd way of making his characters so like emotionally sincere.
Yeah.
And we spend so much time with everyone that I can't help but care about them by the end.
I think it's in that simplicity that so much of the magic of most of James Cameron's movies work. Because on the whole, I would say I haven't seen a Jim Cameron movie that I'm like, whoa, that's doing such complex things with its themes. Like I'm not like blown out of the water by like the complexity of
I would
James
say The Way of
Cameron
Water
movie.
is the most thematically complex Cameron movie I've seen.
So much of what makes his thematic through lines work in these massive
He makes
movies
just these sprawling movies.
is the fact that they are so succinct and are given so much time.
And they're so easy to like emotionally understand.
So a lot of the characters do run through, quite frankly, kind of a stereotypical like this is their character arc. This is their character motivation. This is their emotional beat.
Right, like Titanic, the romance in Titanic.
But yeah, all of those are blended together in this really cool setting with really great pacing. And one thing that Jim Cameron focuses on way more than just, oh, what's the plot doing, is what is it like not doing, you know? What are we doing in between the plot? What are we sitting with? What are we looking at? What does it feel like?
Well, and it's interesting because like watching especially The Way of Water, it feels like the plot is more of an excuse for him to like explore the beauty of and like the relationship between all of these like characters in the world they live in and everything.
Yeah, I think one of the most like enjoyable parts about The Way of Water, quite frankly, even more so than the original Avatar, which I said in my like review and podcast episode then, kind of the same thing, but part of what makes it so enjoyable is just like the genuine feeling of exploration of a beautiful world.
Right.
You get to like fully, and like you can sense that the movie is in love with Pandora.
Right.
And you fall in love with Pandora. It feels like such a real place. Why, how is Pandora not real? How did Cameron not like fly in a spaceship and go find this planet? That's how like, I'm just like, yeah, it's Pandora.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
And it just like, you get like the setting is almost like a stronger emotional character than a lot of the actual characters.
Well, yeah, and that's what's so revolutionary about the first one too. Like to me, anyway, is like they're fighting for the planet itself, but like the actual location is like a character in the movie.
They quite literally make Iowa run through the entire planet of Pandora. They quite literally
Pandora.
give a character to the setting.
Exactly, yeah, and it works so well.
Yeah, and tying all of that in, it has such this like peaceful and unique and really beautiful feeling, even beyond just the inherent message of how we should interact with nature or capitalism, evil, or anything like that. Like beyond any of like the actual themes and things you can poke out of Avatar, what you can look at and like really dig into is just how it feels to be in Pandora.
Well, and a bunch of people, like after seeing this movie, of course, if they enjoyed it, there are quite a few people who didn't seem to get much out of it. But like all the people I know who enjoyed it seem to mention that they like appreciate the beauty of the world a bit more after watching the movie. Like you come out of the theater and you're like, wow, I think fish are actually pretty awesome.
Right. You just kind of want to spend more time with nature. And I actually genuinely think, as pretentious as some people may think that sounds, I think like it's a piece of art, and pieces of art can bring kind of different like emotional experiences and do different things than what people conventionally think movies can do.
Yeah.
Like movies are honestly put in such a small box of what they're supposed to make you feel or what you're supposed to get as a takeaway. Like half the time people are like, oh yeah, movies, they're just supposed to have like a good story with like this, and then the villain loses and the characters fall in love or something like that. Like just very like, it should just be a good story, which is fine. Any movie that tells just a good story is blowing it out of the water. I respect it immensely.
Yeah.
But that's not all a movie as an art form inherently can do. And one thing I think really is unique about The Way of Water, even more so than Avatar, which Avatar was doing like the same thing, is just how much it actually has respect for nature. Not even just their fictional nature, but like our nature and the emotional things it does to you to get you to want to spend time in that nature.
I was about to say, as much as we're also getting to know like Jake's kids in the second act, we're getting to know all of the sea creatures and like how the world operates.
And PAYA
exactly. So, like, in a weird way, it's like developing your connection to Pandora throughout a lot of the middle part of the movie, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think some of, like, the nicest moments are when Kiri is just, like, sitting enjoying the nature. And it feels like such a thing I would do.
When we saw the promo clip for this movie, and it was just, like, Kiri, like, sitting there looking at fish like that, and we were like, is this gonna be the whole movie?
Little do we know, that's the whole movie. But I honestly, like, Kiri is one of my favorite characters in this movie. I really love her as a character.
Yeah, she's really interesting, and she's not in it like that much, honestly. Like, the brothers are more the focus of the actual plot of the movie.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, it's a very memorable. I
can't wait to see what they do with her character, because clearly her character is like, again, the brothers and their relationship with Jake are essentially like the movie.
That's the main focus of this one. And, you know, Spider and his relationship to
that's
Quaritch.
kind of the B plot, essentially. Like, those two threads are kind of what leads us through the main conflict.
Yeah.
But Kiri's also doing something, like, really interesting. And some of my favorite moments, like, genuinely, if I can just think back to some of my favorite moments of the movie, are even when she's just, like, sitting in the really shallow sand and just watching the sand. Because that's so sick.
Right?
And that's so, like, that makes me want to go and just sit and watch the sand. As stupid as that sounds. That, like, nothing, after seeing that scene, I was like, nothing sounds better to me than, like, peacefully sitting in the ocean and watching the sand.
You know, more so than the second viewing, after we finished watching this the first time in 3D, I was like, I really just want to go, like, sit in the ocean for a while. I want to go for a swim.
Which I don't like swimming in the ocean, I'll have you know. But I wish the ocean looked and like this movie looks, because our ocean is not this pretty.
No.
It is in parts. I've actually been to places where the ocean is as pretty as
just
it is
not
in Way of
around
Water,
like,
but not here in the old US of A.
I was about to say, most of the US oceans are not this clear.
Go down to a beach in Florida, which is the closest beach, and it's a little gross.
A little gross.
And, you know, you get in that water and you're like, I don't know what's in this water.
You don't have
with
to
me.
justify your discomfort of the beach by going
I'm just
in the
saying,
ocean.
I don't like swimming in the ocean, but this movie makes me wish I did.
Yeah, I was like, man, like, it's so funny to me that a big takeaway from this movie for me is like, wow, I just love water and, like, the creatures that live in it more. Like, even more so than, like, wow, I can't just wait to see what Jake Sully does next. I'm like, wow, the earth is so beautiful, you know? Like, and I think that's a really awesome thing to take away from a movie.
Like I said, and I think that's really a powerful and unique thing for a movie as a piece of art to do, to emotionally connect with quite a few people. I know not everyone had that takeaway, but a lot of people even, like, joked about the fact that, like, even the sense of, people called it, like, post-Pandora depression of the fact
that was a thing, a documented thing.
Yeah, that you have this kind of, like, kind of let down when you have to get back to life, when you like, and oftentimes I think that comes from the fact that people don't actually experience nature. Like, I feel like the movie is asking you to afterwards.
Yeah.
So you watch this extremely, like, nature-centric, very love and imbued film that's so peaceful in a sense, and so engrossing.
Active war going on.
Active war going on, but it's so peaceful in its quiet moments.
Yeah.
And then you just don't really engage with nature afterwards. And I think your body is genuinely like, you're even beyond like, as pretentious, I'm going to sound super, like your spirit, your soul, like longs for something that you've now missed. So it's like, oh, I gotta watch The Way of Water again to get some more of that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't remember which reviewer it was, but I read a review earlier today that was talking about how this movie is kind of about beauty in a way. Like, it's not about like one particular thing. It's about appreciating beauty, whether that's in relationships or in the world around you, or like, you know, just coming to appreciate beauty in your world.
You know, I could really see that, especially like as a tying through theme, even with like Spider's character.
Exactly.
And the way his plotline plays out and his relationship with his dad and like how he saves him and everything. Like,
exactly, yeah. Like coming to appreciate what is beautiful around you.
And essentially hate what is not.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's a really like succinct way to describe what's so great about The Way of Water, because like conventionally it's a kind of strangely structured family blockbuster that ends with like this flaming ship
and like a really brutal action scene
like
for
a really
some reason.
Brutal action set piece, which is amazing, by the way.
So good.
The finale of the movie is so good.
Every time I see that finale, like, and I know it's not. I've seen a lot of rated R fight scenes. I know it's not like that
it's
bloody,
not that crazy,
and it's not like that crazy, but at the same time, and I guess it's just like the direction and the emotion they put behind it, but it is such a visceral fight scene that it makes me question, like, whoa, this is like a PG-13 movie.
Well, what's so crazy is like James Cameron loves working with the actors on these movies, and like you can tell how much the actors love working on these. Like everyone here is having a great time.
Because like I completely forget that actors are even playing these people. Like if you told me watching the boat scene, you're like, oh yeah, humans did that.
Right?
I'd be like, huh? Humans? I don't see any humans.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it like my brain just thinks it's real, and like again, the performers are so into it, like, and they're giving such good performances even in the mocap, which is like amazing mocap, but still like it's hard to emote properly in that.
Yeah, this is like
and it's amazing.
This is like
it's
the
just
only
so
movie
seamless.
I've ever seen that quite frankly like just blows way beyond the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Like my brain does not question that any of the Na'vi in this are real.
Dude.
I even said in our last thing that the Na'vi in Avatar feel like they've aged.
They have aged.
The effects
a little,
have aged.
yeah.
And these effects might age, but my brain while watching the movie just registers them as real.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy is like back when we first got out of the theater for this, one of my friends had written in their review, they're like, I'm not convinced 100% that James Cameron didn't just fly to an alien planet.
That's what I'm
direct
saying.
these movies.
Like, how is Pandora and the Na'vi not real?
Yeah, like you said, my eye just 100% believes that they're real things.
They're so expressive, and you can. Heck, I mean, the poster is even like laughing in your face about the fact that you could zoom in on the low quality poster and see the pores on the avatar's face.
I genuinely am in awe of how good the effects look in the movie.
This should have won like 20 Oscars just for effects.
And the thing is, again, with the whole blending of mocap and real environments, like that's still insane. Like Spider, why did he have to put Spider in the movie just to make it like that much harder on himself filming all the mocap
like
stuff?
Imagine like I don't know if people know how mocap works or how visual effects work or how any of the technology and work that go into this work.
The more I know about how they made the movie, the more I'm like, how on earth did they do it?
It is so incredibly insane. Like, watch behind the scenes stuff for this.
Yeah.
Look at how they integrate this stuff, and like that's not obviously you can have the greatest visual effects of all time and make a bad movie.
Yeah, just make a boring movie.
But this is not that. This is such a great blend because, again, I think that's a great way to put it. And I hadn't heard it put like that. But because the central theme of the movie kind of feels like it revolves around finding beauty in everything, even in like good and bad relationships and good and bad things that happen in the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all sorts of things. Any, like, to have a movie that looks this beautiful that doesn't quite bother me like watching the original Avatar. Watching the original Avatar, you're like, this looks a little weird.
It looks a little weird sometimes, especially those like some of the alien creatures like that aren't Na'vi in that movie look a little funky.
Yeah, and I think the water benefits the alien creatures a lot in this.
Oh, I love all the new water creatures.
Because like the water creatures look so good, and they get to put like water over them in the underwater shots. So I feel like that makes it a little bit easier to make them like blend really well. But again, my brain is just like, oh yeah, look at these ocean creatures.
Right.
Isn't that cool?
Right. Besides the fact that like a lot of the water creatures have like these kind of almost cartoonish looking eyes with like big whites and everything. I'm like, why are their eyes so human?
Right.
But, like other than that, like
right,
I'm like,
that's because these are all living creatures.
I know.
They have souls.
I know.
That's what Avatar. That's what's. I want to live on Pandora. Can I do that? Can I phone Jim Cameron and be like, hey, I know you filmed these on Pandora. Can you hook me up with an avatar and then like kill my real human body so I'm in the avatar?
Exactly.
And like send me to Pandora.
What you need to do is you need to upload your consciousness into into one of
like Quaritch.
Yeah, into one of the avatars, exactly like Quaritch.
Yeah. So then I can go on living here, but then like better me, happier me is living on Pandora.
Exactly.
Like, as stupid as we're being, we're joking, right? But at the same time, like, a movie that makes me genuinely feel like I would want to do that. Even in a joking sense. But, like, I would genuinely, crazy. Like, give anything to go to Pandora.
It's amazing. Like, it's just an amazing technical achievement. And, like, I don't know, it's a marvel of filmmaking. Like, I don't understand, like, my brain breaks trying to figure out how you would even go about writing something this huge, filming something this huge, like doing the VFX for something this huge.
Yeah, and I think
it's insane.
I think the writing is really where we run into some of my only problems with the movie, which are mainly just some of the structural things. Even on a rewatch, I thought they might work a little bit better, but honestly, I feel like they're still just kind of stiff and a little clunky, especially like the shift between that first essential hour of the movie to like the rest of the movie. It doesn't fully work for me.
I don't know. I really like that. Like, especially even the time jump and everything, I think really works.
Just like, I don't know. Like,
it's pretty smooth.
The shift between locations doesn't feel smooth to me. Like, it very much feels like it just kind of like, okay, and there was that, and now we're over here. And like a very awkward kind of way. And I think that kind of adds, like, that's kind of the beginning of, like, if the pacing doesn't fully work for you within that first little bit, it can be really hard to fully engage with a lot of, like, the late second act stuff.
I guess.
Because you get reintroduced to, like, a new area and new characters, and you can kind of roll with it for a while.
Yeah, they're throwing a lot of, like, new stuff at you, and you're like, oh, so you can kind of, like, soak it in for a while.
But by the time, I think, like, honestly, a lot of the, I don't remember what they're called. What is PAYA species called?
Oh shoot, now you got me forgetting.
I don't remember what those things are called.
I'm Googling whale from Avatar.
Whale from Avatar. But when you get to those guys, I think you lose me a little bit in some of the pacing and structuring. I think there's some good stuff to say there, and obviously I think their inclusion is necessary for a lot of things.
Tokens,
yes, yeah, the tokens. But like, you have, like, again, the death of, like, the water tribe ladies, Tolkien, if I can get all of my weird names straight. And like that emotional beat never worked for me.
I really like that one.
And I
didn't get it that much on the first watch, but on the second time I was like, wow.
I feel like by that point I'm like, come on, guys, we're so close to the third act.
Yeah, a lot of the like the only big part of that, especially on the first viewing, like the whaler stuff doesn't really engage me quite as much. But like
Yeah,
it's still
and, like on its own, I
fine.
like the whaler stuff. But
Yeah.
again, I'm like, come on, guys, we're so close.
Yeah, we're getting
to the third act.
at that point. You're getting
And
so
I-
close to the like final set piece and like everything coming together. You just want to get there
Yeah,
already.
I don't like feeling that way while watching the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the scenes, especially a lot of some of like the kids' conflict scenes, quite frankly, just don't work for me. And they make
Really?
me feel that way. Like there's
Interesting.
multiple points throughout this film where like the kids, they're in trouble by something that they really have no means to stop. And then the one kid is like, I'm going to do something that my dad said not to do. And then that like repeats like 3 times
Yeah.
throughout the film. And none of those times does it really have the, after seeing it the first time, do I think it really has the tension that it needs. And it makes all of those things feel like they're kind of like, and it's little stuff like that that I feel like makes the pacing of the film not quite work even on a rewatch. Like I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I can
Let's-
definitely see
let's-
that. I could
let's
see
scoot on a
cutting. I
little
could
bit.
see cutting like 1 or 2 of those like weird encounter things.
yeah,
that they
again,
have.
like as much as I was like, oh, Tuck, she's so silly, like it genuinely does, I feel like, bring down some of the pacing a bit to have her in all of these encounters. Not even just her specifically, but she kind of like centers around that problem because she doesn't really matter to this movie, and I'm sure she will later.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that she's just a useless character put in to have another kid. But like in this movie, she's just kind of there to be a kind of less adequate Navi. So she's just kind of, she can't like defend herself as much. So she
Yeah.
can't like swim
I
as
think
well.
I get what you're saying. It wasn't
And-
really that big of a problem.
And no,
for me.
I'm not saying it's like a big problem, but at the same time, like that's kind of a lot of like the poking at the fact that you're like, oh, well, this is long.
This is a
poke,
long
poke,
movie.
poke.
It is a long
You
movie.
gotta save Took again.
Yeah.
And like when she gets into like the one pod during the one like diver chase scene when they're chasing them, I'm like, this is going on very long. This is. Did we really need like jump scare number 5?
Micah confirmed doesn't like the crab mechs.
I like the and see, I was about to say I like all of these elements individually
Yeah.
on their own. I don't think any of these are inherently bad elements. The crab mechs are super
The
sick.
crab mech.
But like I think blended together, it's not quite as well like again blended and paced and structured as I wished. Like just enough that it is kind of noticeable to me just how long the movie is. It feels long at parts.
get that. Yeah.
And not in like a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I see what you're saying, but like honestly there's enough, like I said, like characterization of the world and the characters that I'm always like kind of down for
but
whatever they're doing.
it's often in those moments that I'm talking about that it's giving the least characterization towards Pandora
Yeah.
or even any of the individual characters.
That's fair, yeah. But I'm just saying like usually there's enough like just natural dramatic tension that I'm usually, but like yeah.
Yeah, on a rewatch though, like a lot of the big overarching pacing worked better on a rewatch,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the small tensions that are supposed to like be like, oh no. But at this point you're like, yeah, this is like the 3rd time and I know they're going to be fine. So
Yeah.
and just like for a split second in my brain, and then we move on pretty quickly from those. But like at the same time, that is definitely one of my only problems with the movie is it doesn't fully work, I don't think.
Yeah. I guess to ask you another question, what do you think of the fact, because I know this was kind of like a weird thing that a lot of people brought up about this movie. What do you think of the fact that Quaritch has come back as our villain?
I think it's hilarious. I think he should come back every movie. I was kind of disappointed
That he
they
doesn't
didn't
die
they
again.
didn't die. I understand. Not to say that I don't think what they're doing with Spider isn't really smart. I think it is. I think Spider has a surprisingly good like character arc
Right.
and emotional payoff. But at the same
It
time,
worked even better on a second watch,
I-
which is so funny.
I kind of wanted Quaritch to die and then come back in an increasingly ridiculous way
Right.
each movie.
They kind of like do this like weird like retcon, like, oh, they uploaded him into an avatar,
So he's back.
so he's back.
And he's like, I'm not that man.
Michael wanted him to die again so he could be like reincarnated as a fly or something, and
I wanted
so
them
he can
to-
kill Jigsaw.
I wanted them to keep it going, you know? Like, which I'm sure maybe they will, or who knows, maybe this is the final Quaritch.
we get the Quaritch trilogy, Micah.
I think that would be amazing.
Quaritch trilogy, and then they move on.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bad, like, I don't think the strong point per se is ever the villain in an Avatar movie, I mean. Like, the villain is not like, oh yeah, it's like the villain, but at the same time, the villain is like, it's Quaritch. He's pulling off exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's even more interesting in this one than he is in the first
I think
movie.
he's much more engaging in this than he is in the first. I think he's got a much more complex motivation.
Right.
Giving him Spider gives him just a much more complex personality.
I was about to say, and he has a lot more like emotional conflict given the fact that he kind of feels resentment for like, his old self dying already.
Yeah, he feels like resentment for his old self dying.
Yeah.
He feels like resentment for the fact that he cares for his son.
And that he's now trapped in an avatar body.
And like they took like this literally kind of goofily like simple villain, like cartoon
military
we're
villain.
Gonna destroy the Na'vi because they're blue kind of guy.
Yeah.
Into like actually genuinely a really interesting character that I'm excited to see where they take him. Right. At the same time, I'm like, yeah, Jake, kill him.
Right, yeah.
So I think they do a pretty crazy job with that, especially, dude, like the Spider stuff is really good. I want to talk more about that. Like, the way they tie Spider and like make you, the more you care for Spider and watch his plot go, the more you like care for Quaritch, but at the same time like disdain Quaritch.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he does like increasingly worse stuff.
Right.
And you kind of see Spider have this dawn of realization of like the torn pieces of his father, of this person who is like genuinely a person who wants to connect with him and has again that kind of sense of beauty to him in his life versus like torture, burn it to the ground, I'm gonna kill him revenge guy.
I was about to say when he torches the one water village for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, and then like they keep doing that and stuff like that. Like it makes this conflict between Spider really, really emotional. And I was, the first time around especially, I was really nervous like where they were gonna take it, because I was gonna be so annoyed, and I kid you not, so freaking annoyed if they made Spider become a villain by the end of the movie. I was going to personally
that didn't even cross my mind. That would have sucked.
Exactly. That is the first thing I thought when I saw Spider starting to like view Quaritch as like a person who to connect with. And I was like, oh crap. Surely they're not going to do that. And they didn't. So that was exciting. Instead, they have this really interesting conflict. And I was worried too, especially during the end conflict, that then they would be like, they wouldn't take Spider back because he was I don't know, the relationship between the Na'vi family and Spider is really unique and interesting, which I hope gets further explored in other movies. Kind of the tension, especially that Neytiri brings to the fact that she always views him as kind of lesser than the rest of them.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting again because Jake like is a human basically.
Yeah, and Jake always
Neytiri's just like native Na'vi, so like they obviously have a different view of having like this human around all the time.
Jake and all of their kids too, because they grew up with Spider, all feel like Spider is family, but Neytiri doesn't. Neytiri's like like she's like, oh, this guy's here again.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, like me included, the first time I watched this kind of felt weird that Neytiri's kind of sidelined a lot in this movie.
Yeah, I'm sad about how little Neytiri has to do in this movie.
But like for what portion of the movie she is in, I'm like, yeah, like she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping we have like a stronger Neytiri arc in like the next movie,
yeah,
quite frankly.
And again, like the first movie is really about Jake and Neytiri's like relationship.
Yeah, the first movie is about Jake really and Neytiri, good. And this movie is about Jake and his boys.
Yeah,
Jake and his sons. So like, I mean, feasibly, we're gonna get probably maybe a non-Jake central like plot.
I was about to say, I could envision like a plot where maybe Jake and Neytiri are like split up and Kiri is with one of them, like that sort of thing.
You were implying that they like broke
no
up.
Not like a divorce.
Like, that would be like the stupidest thing in the world.
Like they get separated or something, and they have to like work to get back to each other.
Yeah, Neytiri, like, Spider, and Kiri would be really fun.
Exactly.
I would love to have like a B plot with Kiri, Spider, and Neytiri, because like I think Neytiri feels weird about Kiri as well. Like she views her as like her daughter still in a weird sense, but like I don't know, there's a lot of interesting
There's
tensions.
a lot of really interesting
with Neytiri.
tensions with them, like having children and like how they raise them and everything. It's very interesting.
Yeah, like they did such a really fascinatingly like realistic job with like the family dynamics. Like again, how are these? This is like a documentary.
I love that.
What is going on?
In Taylor J. Williams' review, he mentioned that like Jake Sully is essentially like this sitcom dad in this movie.
Right? He's family. He's got to protect the troop.
Got to protect the troop. Exactly.
Come on, guys. Got to put on your big smiles
he keeps like reprimanding his children in like the most cliche way possible.
Right, and he keeps saying again, like, let's try your best, put on your smiles.
Yeah.
And doing again, I think Jake's arc is really goofy.
That's the best way, like best direction they could have taken him. Like if they're gonna have him like have a family of Na'vi and everything. Yeah. It's so great.
But no, like I was saying, like the family dynamics feel so realistic. Like each character in their family especially has a different relationship with the other person in their family.
Exactly.
They all have unique tensions and conflicts and wants and needs and pushes and pulls between like every family member besides arguably Took. Because again, she's just not doing anything.
Like a very small child.
I'm sure she's young. I don't hold it against her. I'm sure we'll do more with her later.
Yeah.
But no, it's really fascinating to see that play out, and I love the relationship, especially between Natayam and Loak, and like how that grows throughout the movie.
Yeah, no, it's really like it feels so authentic, and I forgot like the second time we watched this, I forgot just how often they say bro.
Yeah, they say bro so much. All of and not even
bro.
Just them,
yeah,
which I think is like really funny.
Them
like
to each other.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like I understand like Loak and Natayam saying it because Jake raised
talks
them.
Like that. Yeah.
But then the other water kids, they're like bro. Like their bro is said.
What are you doing?
So many times throughout this movie, and it's hilarious. It's great. And it works so well for some reason, even though it makes no sense that all of these, like, technically speaking, the movie is translated from Na'vi.
It's like translated for our benefit.
So what is bro in Na'vi? Tell me, Trim Cameron.
Right?
What
like
are they?
The slang for brother.
Exactly.
It's funny.
I still would love, and this is a stupid little side comment, but I would love a like Na'vi subtitled version of this movie.
That would take a lot of work.
It would take a lot of work. It would take so much work. But I think
Fingers
it would kind of
crossed for the Blu-ray.
I think it would kind of be cool.
That would be really cool.
No,
actually.
There's no way they would ever do it too, because it would cost so much money to get the voice actors to come in and record 3 hours of Na'vi lines.
They would have to re-record like all of this Na'vi dialogue, which is way harder.
They would have to translate all of their dialogue into a fictional language, and then have all of their actors come back.
Yeah.
And except for the couple times they're speaking English with like the different like sail people and everything, like it would all be in Na'vi, which would be super impractical.
I love so many of like the tongue-in-cheek like explanations in the first hour where he's like, it was like hearing English at that point.
Then whoosh.
And then like the dialogue just changes into English.
I love that. That's awesome. The first time that happened, the theater when we were watching, everyone I laughed. It's funny and it works. It immediately gets you like, you just accept it. You're like, yeah, they're speaking in Na'vi. It's totally normal that we're hearing them in English.
I just love it. It's so great.
It's such a goofy thing. And again, there's so many goofy things that only work in this movie because the movie never takes itself
so sincere
too seriously. It's so like just genuine, again, sincere. And it makes all of its goof and Jake being a sitcom dad and like all of them being like bro and goofy moments like and even Spider as a character. I cannot think of a single other movie where Spider would work as a character. Like all of those things are given just enough sincerity, just enough goof. They don't take themselves overly seriously, but they're given emotional weight and a purpose and a simple thing, and all of that blends together into this really great like fun, like you can just enjoy it.
Well, that's the thing about like when you say they don't take it too seriously, I think they do take it very seriously, but they never think they're smarter than they are or think that there's like something there that isn't.
Well,
you know?
by take it too seriously, that's kind of like a shorthand term
Okay.
practically to like be like they're not like taking this to a point where
It's
again
absurd.
they think it's like
Yeah.
they're like it's not that the movie itself and its text doesn't take them seriously, or too seriously, it's that the creators themselves are like, yeah, I think this is pretty epic.
Yeah.
And they take it too seriously, and it gives it a different vibe. Because, the movie, like, treats them
It's very genuine,
seriously.
and that's one of the things I love about it. Yeah.
But, I don't think genuineness conflicts with, conflicts with, like, not being too serious.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I was just trying to clarify in case some hypothetical person was like, what is he talking about?
But I have a question.
All right.
What is your favorite scene or sequence?
Ooh.
Which, unlike
There's a lot to
unlike
choose
most
from.
of the movies we've talked about lately, it's not like a lack of ones where we're sitting there like, and Robbie forfeits his answer of a
Okay,
favorite
I've
scene
only
or
done that
sequence.
one time.
This time there's like so many good scenes and
There's
sequences.
so many, yeah. Oh gosh, there's like so many that you can pick from. I don't know if I want to pick something from the finale or not, like, because I feel like that's an obvious direction to just immediately go towards. I don't know. There's some great like PAYA scenes that really stick in my memory. I don't know. I guess probably like the big kickoff into the third act scene is so much fun. Like when you get PAYA like diving over the boat, that's like the defining image of the movie for me. And like, I don't know, it's just amazing. That would probably be my pick, I guess. Like when right as we're breaking into the third act with like all the Na'vi water people like getting on their little skimmer fishes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I really love that part.
Yeah, one of my favorites sequences, I have two answers. One of my favorite sequences is actually what you were mentioning, is a lot of the Just Loak and PAYA things. Like, I love just their scenes
They're
together.
so great.
They're so... Like, that is when I think a lot of it's, again, like, look at beauty and nature, and even, like, PAYA as a character and what, like, his kind of
so cool.
deal is, and the fact that he is willing to fight to protect this, which goes against his people's beliefs.
Exactly.
Is, like, really unique and interesting, and it plays so well with, again, the kind of middle child complex that Loak has.
Yeah. No, they make for such a, like, surprisingly good
Which is
dynamic
funny
duo.
that the big whale man who does not speak English makes for an interesting duo with the character. It's genuinely kind of cool how they make PAYA work as a character.
Yeah.
When it's so conventionally like not a character.
Like, why should we give a crap about some whale who we can't even like understand?
Yeah, it's just
really?
a big whale is like.
You get the subtitles, Micah.
But yeah, that, and actually also from the third act, because that is where my mind completely jumps, though not that part, definitely the thing that just stands out, and it's honestly one of my, again, I would quote it, like say it as one of my favorite action scenes in a while, is just that final like boat is on fire, let's finish it then, kind of the entire sequence of like Quaritch has like got the girls,
dude,
and Jake and Neytiri are going full murder mode,
and on the boat is so fun. Like,
and it's just
awesome.
It's not even just like fun, it's genuinely, to me, in my opinion, a great culmination of emotions.
I'm like crying during that.
I think the emotional stuff of the fact that Neteyam is like dying, and like, I mean, he dies.
Yeah, he dies.
And then Quaritch is like, you could have, that was your fault.
Yeah.
Like, son for a son, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... Ooh, it's
just
so punchy,
yeah.
and you're so into it after watching so much of this movie, and these characters struggle with each other, and this family be a genuine family to lose a family member, especially one in like the unique emotional state he was, like Neteyam is, with the rest of his family members. You're like, oh my gosh. Oh man. And then like they directed and choreographed the heck out of that fight scene.
Dude, literally, like, every bit of action, not even just, like, the hand-to-hand combat, like, every single sequence is so well edited and scored and blocked, and, like, the geography is always amazingly clear and amazing.
It's just it's a fun detail for me. I just appreciate it. Jake finally gets to use his little, well, he used it previously, but I love when he uses his little murder hatchet because it looks so intimidating. I love this murder hatchet. He needs to use it more. Like, and he doesn't chillax with it either. He doesn't flip it around. He doesn't use like the hatchet side. He spins it around to the sharp side, and like throughout the movie, he's just like people with it. It's so visceral and in your face to see this kind of combat work with these massive, larger than life yet so real feeling characters, and this kind of intense, over the top violence despite not being like Tarantino-y.
I love the fact that, like, a big takeaway from this movie that a lot of people have is like, how is that PG-13?
Well, yeah, and again,
it just, the action is not even, like you said, not even like that bloody or anything.
It's not bloody. It's not the most gory. It's not. It's just so impactful.
Yeah,
it has
just,
so much.
You feel it.
Has so much emotion behind it. It doesn't feel like something a child should be watching.
Yeah,
you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot.
Yeah.
It's genuinely kind of like it gets you into the mindset of like a kind of fight or flight to a kind of scary level, kind of like something kind of, so funnily enough, that The Last of Us Part 2 kind of taps into.
That's a good
fight or flight to the point that you're like, oh no, I'm committing atrocious things.
Yeah.
And it's really visceral.
Dude, Neytiri is so scary in this movie, even more so than the first movie.
Dude, no, I mean, purposefully so. In that fight, Neytiri is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
Which is so cool, because I really like Neytiri.
Yeah.
And like to see her be like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrifying. In a really cool way.
No, it's funny because like I always forget just how large like Na'vi are until that final fight, and I'm like, I'm just now realizing that Neytiri is like 10 feet tall.
Yeah, Neytiri would be like in our ceiling, and like imagine that enraged coming at you with a giant bow.
She's shooting her like enormous arrows at everyone. I'm like, this is what movies were made for.
And it's so big and horrifying and great. And I think the end of the conflict, again, the whole son for a son thing, not only is a really cool moment that kind of ties into some unique emotional conflicts for Spider and Quaritch, and Jake and Neytiri and Loak and just all of our characters. It's a great finale.
Oh my goodness.
But then it also like again ties into the whole like they're like fully taking on Spider as a member of the family, the whole son for a son thing there. I'm like, oh, it's so awesome. It's truly, I think, where the movie is working like the best, just because it is a true culmination of everything you just sat through.
And there's so much you sat through.
And for it to work as well as it does is just incredible.
Incredible movie, I say. I declare.
It's great. It really, I feel so weird talking about the Avatar movies because they're not my favorite things in the world. There are tons of other movies I would rather watch than any of the Avatar movies at any time. But like, they are such unique and fascinating pieces of art. More so
They're so clearly the passion project of like this marine biologist's underwater obsessed film director.
Exactly. And like, I look at this movie and I just, again, we've said it so many times this podcast, but I just can't believe it to a certain extent. It is unbelievable. I look at this and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, like as someone who to a pretty, relatively high degree studies how films are made, like it genuinely just blows my mind that Avatar exists in any capacity, let alone the sequel.
Yeah, like I mean, there's a ton of really unique directors out there. Like we just watched like a Park Chan-wook film.
Yeah.
And he's a director that kind of does really incredible things.
He's a very singular director
and blows
who makes
things out of the water.
Very technically intricate movies.
But even then, like this is kind of a different wow. Like I don't even know, like, because it's just, I adore Park Chan-wook's film.
This is a much bigger movie.
But this is just like an achievement. You know, people are like, "Oh, Endgame was an achievement," and I mean, to an extent, it was.
Yeah.
But like, it's such a like.
It's a lame achievement.
Kind of a flat achievement. Like, it's more impressive than it is good. I think. I think Infinity War is a lot better anyway, but that's a whole different story. But like, this is just so massive. It was 15 years in the making. Not just like, oh, it was on the back burner for 15 years. Like, James Cameron genuinely worked on this movie for 15 years.
It's insane.
And you feel that.
Well, and Ryan Lee, who we've mentioned before, wrote in his review that this almost feels like a completely different kind of technical achievement in filmmaking. Like, it's not just really good mocap with like something like Planet of the Apes or something.
Yeah, like,
and it's not just like good CGI like you might get in like a high budget sci-fi movie. This is like something new. Especially with the high frame rate and like seamless 3D and everything.
It's a new kind of experience of a film. It's bringing something that I haven't felt emotionally from a movie, that I think it's delivering something message-wise that I haven't personally seen a movie deliver in this way. And it's doing it in a technique and form that almost like that pretty much no other movie ever has.
I was about to say, I feel like James Cameron is kind of laying down some like new film language here, like some new like ways of making a movie, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, it's just incredible because I think that's a great thing to mention, like the late Planet of the Apes films, which we've talked about on the podcast.
Love the Planet of the Apes
I think
movies. They're pretty darn seamless.
Like again, I would say the same thing. My brain, when looking at especially like War for the Planet of the Apes, my brain looks at that, and again, amazing. It says real.
Yeah,
it says apes. So like, it's not just like that Avatar. I was like, my brain was fried by the fact that the mocap and CGI was good. I've seen other movies with really fantastic mocap and CGI, but
this is just like a whole new animal almost.
Yeah, like the cinematic language it's using, the kind of style it's going for, and what it's delivering emotionally.
The fact that they're doing like mocap like in the water kind of thing. It's just like, nothing. That's insane. It's nothing, that's unprecedented.
It's nothing that I've ever seen before. And you like, I kind of inside of me want to split apart this movie between its technical and its like quote unquote artistic story wise, but they are truly like one. Like, you can't separate them from each other. The achievement technically is what drives a lot of the achievement on story, and the achievement story is what like drives the achievement technically.
Yeah, no, it's
and it's just insane. This beast of a film.
Yeah. No, I think I actually said this in my first review, that it just feels like one of the biggest movies I've ever watched, which is crazy.
Yeah, and it's again, it's not even the longest. We'll talk about a movie later, actually, that's longer.
Yeah.
And I've seen longer than that even. And like, this is just a big movie.
This feels like a movie that I'm gonna like, tell the grandkids about. Like, that's like, the vibe,
genuinely though. Like, I know Houston Coley actually joked about that in his video. Like, this is what I would tell my grandkids that I watched
seeing
this
Avatar
movie
2 in the theater.
But like, at the same time, like, this is genuinely
it feels like a landmark.
That will be influential enough, even if we don't see all of that immediately. But what it's doing on a storytelling and filmmaking level, I think will hold the test of time and be influential enough that people will look back on this movie as like an achievement point in history. To say that I was there and watched it in real 3D is very cool.
I don't know. It's just like, even like with the post Avatar 1 like 3D resurgence, the 3D surgence, if you will, like, we kind of got like a second wave of that briefly after The Way of Water made so much money. Right
now, I mean, there were still 3D releases.
Yeah, there was.
You get a lot of people like trying to shoot for 3D for a bit and stuff like that.
It's just crazy. I genuinely don't understand how James Cameron manages to like make these movies. And I know he's not like the solo VFX artist or anything.
No, there are hundreds upon hundreds of talented artists that poured into this movie.
Yeah, but the fact that it's not just like some weird like soulless sequel to Avatar that looks even better, like, is just amazing to me. I don't understand how you craft a movie
could have
like
been
this.
and the reason that's impressive is it would have been incredibly easy to make this way lamer.
Yeah.
Not even like bad inherently, but just way lamer and not doing nearly as much, lazier.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, yeah, that was Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Instead, this time around, you're like, whoa, this is what Avatar like could have, like, this is what Avatar was leading to.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like it's kind of like Avatar is like giving it a boost up.
Yeah, it's just it does my heart so much good, and I've expressed my love for James Cameron a lot in the past, but it just does my heart good to like see someone who actually cares and values the people who are going to go see his movies.
Well, and really values like a cinematic experience as a cinematic experience, which is part of what I think makes a lot of these things that we're talking about, these feelings that you get from this as different from a movie, really stand out. Again, in the Houston Coley video he did about watching this movie, he makes some really unique points about like James Cameron's views on what a cinematic experience should actually be.
Yeah.
And the kind of sense of locking into something and allowing it to just fully play out and not be able to, again, like
kind of surrendering
yourself to a form of art similarly to the way you would a play.
Yeah.
And whereas people don't often give movies the same respect that they give plays in terms of watching it in person.
Yeah.
And I think he really understands how to use that in-person aspect of going to see a film, even though you're not like in the same room with it. And
it's just amazing.
Really helps build that kind of experience around the movie, which is why I feel really, really sad to say, if you missed seeing this in theaters, I'm so sorry. It's still good. Like, we watched it at home and it's still good.
It's still really amazing. Yeah.
But I think you genuinely missed out on something.
I was about to say, you missed out on like Avatar: The Way of Water, and now you can watch.
Now you're watching like this. You
can watch like a version.
The cast recording. Of Avatar.
You can watch a version of it, and it's still really good, and like it still has a lot of artistic merit, obviously, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What a film. What a picture.
We thought this was going to be like one of our shorter episodes because I mentioned before we started, I'm like, what am I even going to say about The Way of Water? And now we've gone on so long.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, though? Because, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more we probably could talk about.
There's a bunch of other stuff.
Is there anything else you want to specifically to, or not talking about this for forever?
No. We've covered all of the like big things. I could go on about like all the cool
there are
fish
so
things,
many tiny things,
and like how the water interacts with everything, and like
a lot of like,
we didn't even mention like Kiri's scenes.
Yeah, really. Kiri, like I mentioned that I really love a lot of them, but they're doing such unique things, and I think often I tried to like skim over a lot of stuff that was in here but not like super duper important to this movie specifically. Like a lot of the stuff in this genuinely still feels like, in a good way, set up for the sequel, just like honestly Avatar did. Less so, because I know a lot of people who thought that would be an issue going into this one, is that Avatar feels very much, I would even say, a bit more standalone than The Way of Water. Like, I mean, obviously The Way of Water is a sequel.
It's a sequel,
but it does actively feel like it is setting up stuff that will not be resolved until another sequel. But I don't think that actually pulls off as being like a problem.
No, and it feels, again, very like naturalistic in the way it does it, because again, we get to sit with all of the elements that it brings up for long enough that it doesn't feel like they're just like there and gone.
Exactly. And like, even though Kiri's like arc and character moments aren't like completed, she still has something that is arced through in the movie. And you have an ending conflict to end on for her that's really interesting, and I can't wait to see where they take it. Again, I think it's really funny. I was joking about this before, that like, you know, Kiri can't like connect with the spirit tree anymore. She might have like a seizure and die. Yeah. And I was like, what's like the real world equivalent of this? Like, if you're like, sorry, but if your daughter prays again, she might die.
Well, it's a bit more intense, because like she's always like allegedly having like this dialogue with Awa like in her
Yeah,
mind
I know,
almost.
and like communing
But, like,
with the
it's
spirit,
more like a
communing with the
meditation
spirit
kind of thing.
tree
Yeah.
is more intense than just
Yeah.
praying, obviously. But at the same, like I'm just saying, like for like
Yeah.
the hypothetical, the equivalent to what we would have here, it's like if your daughter prays again, that could be it.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad I'm alive when James Cameron is making movies.
But you may not be by the time this Avatar series ends.
Right. There's like 5 confirmed sequels right now.
Yeah, and this one already, like the next one already has gotten pushed back like 2 years. It's already like go way back there.
Yeah. Good.
Which again,
good.
If this movie took 15 years to make how good it is, then I'd take another 15 years,
Yeah.
Jim. Though I'm not sure how long he'll live if he takes 15 years per Avatar.
Right.
You might want to keep that in mind. Find a successor, Jim.
Gonna make someone who cares about fish your apprentice.
Yeah.
Train them in the way.
Train them in your ways, Jim. Continue on the Avatar legacy by the time, because I don't know, you'll probably be like 90 by the time Avatar 4 comes out.
Right. I love Avatar: The Way of Water.
I love Avatar: The Way of Water in a really unique sense. Again, it's not the go-to movie for me by any means, but it's very unique. It is a different movie. It is a movie that I would go to for something completely different than any other movie I would go to, you know?
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's so beautiful.
It's really, it really is a beautiful movie. Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Go watch it.
Even if you haven't seen the first Avatar, I say go watch The Way of Water.
Do you really need the first Avatar? I don't think so. You could go watch it.
They give you enough.
Sure, the relationships, especially between Jake and Neytiri, may feel weird, and you may be like, "Oh, what's this Quaritch character's deal?
Yeah.
What is all this?" But don't worry about it.
Don't even worry about it.
Just enjoy it. I again gave The Way of Water a 4.5 out of 5.
Give it a 5 out of 5, baby. I'm a certified Jim Cameron head, I think. I need to watch the Terminator movies before I can like fully say that.
I haven't even watched the Terminator
haven't even seen
movies.
The Terminator movies, but I love Titanic and I love True Lies and I love Avatar.
You haven't even watched The Abyss, Robbie?
I haven't even seen The Abyss.
What are you doing?
Dude, The Abyss looks awesome. I need to watch that.
But yeah, let's get into our What We Watched segment.
Let's do it.
Alright, so for those of you who are new to the podcast or have never listened to this far before, this is a fun little segment we do at the end where we talk about everything we've watched since the last episode, and we give our brief little thoughts and ratings and have fun.
Wow.
We have fun with you.
We have fun on recently.
we have fun here. But I did not watch very much this week in between episodes. Or even, was it 2 weeks? Was that 2 weeks?
No, it's just
that's
one.
A week. That's a week. Because I've been super busy. Mainly the movie thing, though, like what was stopping me from watching movies, is all the time that I would have been spending watching movies, I was spending producing a YouTube video.
That's true.
And so I watched like nothing for like 4 days. Not even TV shows, because you can't watch a TV show while you're editing, really. So go watch my YouTube video. I put a lot of work into it, like more so than, at least longer than most of my videos. It's my longest video.
I see.
Imgrewe Films on YouTube. It's a Scorsese ranking video, so I know you'll enjoy it.
Wow. You discerning listeners.
That's a big plug right at the beginning, but we don't have that many movies to talk about this time, so we had time for it.
Indeed. But yeah, we're going from August 15th, 2023 onward.
When our Mario episode came out.
Yeah, the Mario episode. I still don't know what the general consensus towards the Mario episode is going to be.
I think people like the Mario. When we got likes on the Mario episode.
Okay, yeah,
people like the Mario episode. People agree with us. The Mario movie is trash.
It's absolute garbage. No. Yeah, go listen to that if you want to hear what we think of the Mario movie.
Nuances.
Amazing. But yeah, after the episode released on the 15th, I sat down and watched Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead.
Whoa.
which is like vaguely related to The Beyond, which I've talked about on here before, another Lucio Fulci film.
It's part of a trilogy.
Part of a trilogy called The Gates to Hell, or maybe Gates of Hell. Yeah, Gates of Hell trilogy.
Whoa, Remy, that sounds a little scary.
A little
for this
scary.
podcast.
Whoa, I don't know about all that.
The Gates of Hell?
Also, I love that both City of the Living Dead and The Beyond basically are just zombie movies.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Did you say this one was Lovecraft inspired?
Yeah, it's vaguely inspired by Lovecraft's writings.
That's fun. I like a
takes
good
place in
Lovecraft inspiration.
Dunwich and New York.
Whoa.
Until they converge and the finale happens. But yeah, City of the Living Dead. It was cool. Not quite as goopy as The Beyond, which has a lot of like marshmallow cream kind of gore in it, which is very funny to me. It still has that. Like they have this reoccurring thing where like one of the zombies or like the dead priest will like teleport to someone and then just like grab their brain out of their head, like just squeeze it out. I'm like, what on earth am I watching right now? But it was cool. It's a cool movie. It features some very like visceral gore, which I didn't expect given how like almost hokey The Beyond is. But this one actually is like way more intense and like, I don't know, grounded than that is on it, at least on its core. But like it has colorful zombies, it has flaming skeletons, it's got like literally piles of maggots. Like there's like this one scene where a window bursts open and there's literally just like this spew of maggots that just for like a solid 45 seconds just keeps shooting around
Ruby, it's like
until everything is covered in them.
Like Suspiria but epic.
Exactly, it's like Suspiria like but insane. I don't know. When I got to that scene where like all of these just tiny little bugs are like flying through the air like they're being sprayed out of a blower, I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. I had fun with it. It's really cool and I like the finale a lot. But it's, I don't know, it's nice. I enjoyed it. It's a good time. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
City of the Living Dead. Fun movie.
Very cool.
Cool indeed.
On the 16th, I watched, and this was my first movie in a bit, and I watched The Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of
the
Horrors.
1960s one.
Oh, the Roger Corman one.
Roger Corman.
Micah's not a Roger Corman
director.
guy.
He's so funny.
So funny.
He really knows how to make jokes. I'm sure his comedy movie, The Little Shop of Horrors, will be so funny after the side-splitting comedy of A Bucket of Blood.
I don't know, man. There's so many people I know who like love Roger Corman, or at least his comedies, like his popular comedies.
No, man, his comedies are. I can respect the Haunted Palace.
Dude,
Yes,
Haunted Palace rocks.
That was pretty good.
Love that movie.
Not his comedies. I despise A Bucket of Blood, and unfortunately, actually, because I was kind of hoping this would be better, and it is better, but unfortunately, The Little Shop of Horrors is just not that great.
Aw.
It tries to do a lot with its premise, and I do think it actually nails some pretty funny things here and there, and I think the performances are all really over the top and goofy, but it never really works. Like, it feels like it should be on, like, stage or something for it to be this weird and animated, or that, like, something more should be happening as a movie. Not much really happens, and it's only 72 minutes, but it feels pretty long, and like it's just kind of doing the same thing over and over for that entire 72 minutes.
Mike is like, it would really be better as a stage play, if you ask me.
It would be. Maybe some musical numbers would cheer it up some. But Jack Nicholson comes in.
Jack Nicholson?
And he's like really young, so we didn't recognize him when we watched this. And he comes in and he's like this like guy who really goes to this dentist and really loves pain, and he just like wants him to like rip out all of his teeth and everything. And
I need to see
that happens for some reason. It literally adds nothing to the actual plot.
So funny.
He just like the main guy accidentally kills the dentist, which he does this a lot. He like accidentally murders like 10 people in the movie. and he accidentally kills the dentist, and then Jack Nicholson's like, I have an appointment. And he's like, okay. Sit in the chair.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just a weird movie. It just doesn't work. It's kind of boring. There's like some funny moments. That's honestly the most funny and memorable moment in the film, is when Jack Nicholson comes in. And it just doesn't feel like it really goes anywhere, and it ends kind of how you would expect it to, and just everything is boring and bland in it. So
'tis a shame.
I don't know. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
I see. On the 16th, I watched the final film in the Gates of Hell trilogy called The House by the Cemetery.
Whoa.
And it has a house by the cemetery. But oddly enough, like, not a gate to hell. Like
the other two had explicit gates to hell.
Like literally the plot of The Beyond is they have to close the gate to hell so that like they can stop the zombies and whatnot.
Yeah, as you do.
And the plot of the City of the Living Dead is like they have to close the gate to hell so they can stop the zombies and whatnot.
Yeah, like, you know.
But the plot of The House by the Cemetery is like there's this freaky scientist dude who's been alive for like 100 years and he keeps eating people to stay alive. So like I don't understand what that has to do with the gate to hell, but like it's a plot, I guess.
She's fine.
Yeah, House by the Cemetery, easily the worst one in the trilogy. Easily the most boring of Felucci's films that I've seen so far. It's just not very interesting. Like, it's a family drama for a lot of it, and it just doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
And like its mystery isn't that interesting. Like the whole big reveal in the final act, spoilers for A House by the Cemetery, is they like find out that Dr. Freudenstein is still living below their house.
I still can't get
I can't believe his name is
Freudenstein.
Freudenstein. Yeah, that's the caliber we're going for here. Dr. Freudenstein is still alive under their house, and that final sequence is awesome. And like all of the like actual kills are awesome, but everything else is super boring. So yeah, House by the Cemetery, boring movie. I didn't get really anything out of it, but you know, whatever. It's not like the death of cinema or anything. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
I seem to have something in my throat.
There's something in his throat. Wow, that's beautiful. Then on the 16th, same day, we went out to the theater. I was hankering to go to the theater. Again, I hadn't watched a movie in a while. I had just been stuck up in my bedroom trying to get my YouTube video past YouTube's blocking system.
Wow.
And I wanted to go to the theater. And we went out to the theater and watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
Mutant Mayhem, baby.
The newest Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, there's been quite a few, oddly enough.
And you know what? It was really fun.
It was. I feel like most people were pretty excited for this. Like, I don't know, everyone I've spoken to about it, they were like, yeah, like, it's a new Turtles movie, and obviously everyone's like, oh, I want to see more animated movies with, like, the Spider-Verse animation.
Which, funnily enough, the only people who I heard were, like, really negative had this, like, oh, those aren't my Ninja Turtles kind of vibe.
Not my Ninja Turtles.
They were like, are you kidding? That's not the Ninja Turtles. Those are... Like,
what are those?
For kids today. Why would you make the Ninja Turtles for kids today and not for me, a child of the 80s?
Yeah. I don't know. Mutant Mayhem, they nailed the teenage part for sure.
Yeah, dude, the 4 turtles, they're so good. They are the best part of the movie.
Yeah, their characterization and like dynamics are always so fun.
They nailed it down so well. They're really funny. You're fully believable as siblings, and they have such a great repertoire.
And they're like actual teenagers and not like 20-somethings. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think the animation style is actually pretty cool. I know people were like, oh, it's like Spider-Verse, but it's not really if you actually watch the movie. It's like vaguely like Spider-Verse.
I mean, they use the same technique of like 2D on 3D kind of thing, which, you know, Spider-Verse made popular.
The actual design work and certain animation flares, like at one point, like liquid is going through a tube and it looks like somebody's drawing it with a glowy crown, which is very cool.
There's a lot more like grotesque art direction in this one compared to something like Spider-Verse.
It's a lot more animated, it's a lot more grotesque in like a really cool way. I think the character designs in this kind of rock.
They are kind of cool. Like even just like a person standing on the street, I'm like, what's their deal?
Right, they look so weird. You're like,
Everyone
oh,
looks
that's
so
awesome. Everybody in animated movies, if you're gonna have a style like this, everybody should look a little weird.
Everyone should look weird.
If you're gonna pull off having the Ninja Turtles everywhere, they should be the most normal looking thing on screen.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's a really good time. I think it feels like a little underwritten. Like
Oh,
it
it definitely
could have
does.
used a few more drafts. But like honestly, what's here is like really funny and enjoyable. And like I'm never really bored or anything.
Right? Like there are active moments where you're like, whoa, there went that plot beat.
Yeah, I was about to say that just the actual plotting of it is a little weird. And
By
like,
the time you get to the third act, you're like, whoa, that was the end of the movie.
yeah, I kind of thought the movie was like gonna end, and then it went on for another like 30 minutes. And
Well,
I'm like,
not only that, but just
Like,
the
I wasn't
finale.
upset.
The finale itself is just incredibly short.
yeah,
And like everything about it, pacing wise and structure wise, is just like a little off.
Yeah,
Not enough
it's
to
not
take it
bad.
away, but definitely enough that you feel like it could have been a lot better
Yeah.
if they had just spent some more time like reworking stuff.
I was about to say there's just a few like plot elements that I kind of wish they would have taken some time to, like just shuffle around or, change slightly. But like honestly, what's here is pretty great. And, it's also like the grossest PG film I've seen in a while.
And it's just really funny and
is
sweet.
funny.
It's so nice to be in.
Yeah, it's such a fun movie to just like hang out watching.
Yeah, I would easily go back and watch this in theaters.
It's a good time, man.
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5.
It's cute.
Mutant Mayhem, certified banger. I like it.
Then what did we watch, Remy?
Then we sat down on the couch, Micah, and we booted up the old Apple TV and we watched
Turned on Netflix.
a Netflix movie.
Oh boy.
Maybe the best Netflix movie?
Perhaps
Question
so.
mark.
Haven't seen Marriage Story or Roma or some other big Netflix
Some
movie.
other big Netflix movie. But yeah, we watched The Irishman. I finally watched it.
Yeah, and this was a
Can you believe
rewatch
it?
for me. This was like my third and a half time watching it.
But yeah, Martin Scorsese, I like his movies, and this is no exception.
Again, if you recall, I was making a Scorsese ranked video, and I was kind of in the mood to watch a Scorsese movie, specifically The Irishman. I don't know why. Like, The Irishman is not one of my, like, favorite Martin Scorsese
It's a
movies.
very cozy movie.
But it's like a very cozy movie in a weird way.
It's so sad,
And
though.
sometimes, like, even though it's really sad and it's extremely long, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's longer than The Way of Water.
Goodness.
Even though it's extremely long
It is
and
really
pretty
long.
sad, sometimes I'll just be sitting there and be like, man, I gotta watch The Irishman.
The Irishman.
And
Yeah.
we did that.
I really wish I could have seen it in a theater.
Right.
I kind of regret not watching it. But I mean, like, I didn't see Parasite either, and that was the same year, 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
It was like our pre like going out to the theater on our own accord.
we didn't really we didn't have the money, honestly.
Yeah, no, we didn't have the money to go do that.
Now we have A-list and we watch all the movies.
It's time for them to put Irishman back in the theaters so I can watch it before Killers of the
on
Flower
its
Moon.
4-year anniversary.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool movie. I don't know why so many people like the first thing they bring up is the de-aging, like that it takes a little bit to get used to. When I just like I don't know, I didn't even really
It takes
notice
a little
it.
bit to get used to.
I didn't like notice it for.
I don't know how.
Everyone's like, oh,
That
once
really-
you get past the first
It really
half hour
stands
or
out
so.
in the beginning, Rebby.
I don't know. It didn't bother me.
I
at
think
all.
it definitely takes away from some of Robert De Niro's performance
Yeah.
and Joe Pesci's too.
Yeah.
It's that thing like I talked about in my video, which you watched, where like even when de-aging looks really good, it like completely flattens the performance, and you can
Yeah.
always tell that that's an old man. He's moving like an old man. He sounds like an old man. Robert De Niro does not look anywhere near under like 60
No, he looks so
in the
old.
movie.
He looks so
ever.
old all the time because he is.
Because he is, and that's fine.
It's fine.
You get pretty used to it again, just as fast
I get
as
used to it really fast.
You get used to it about as fast as they start like shuffling it out, and it slowly gets like less and less because
Yeah.
the time
They're getting
progresses
older,
pretty
yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
So,
there's like some big jumps when they just get like a lot older. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the movie itself is concerned, it's a very like confident movie. Like everything, like the direction, the editing,
Robbie,
the design,
this is a Martin Scorsese
writing.
film in 2019.
Like it's just a very confidently and competently made movie.
He's been making successful films. Well, not successful films since the 60s, but he's been making films since the 60s.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it strikes me how well put together and like reassured it is in what it's doing.
Yeah, it's just so strong in all of its elements. It's got a great sense of momentum. It's got such great characters. I love watching it play out.
The tragedy of the movie like works really well.
I love the tragedy of the movie is so subtle and so well integrated to like every fiber
like
of the
all
movie.
of the movie, which I thought it was just going to be like the last little bit where he's like looking back. He's like, oh,
maybe my choices, they weren't so good.
Maybe they weren't so good, fellas, after all.
But no, there's like this really strong sense of sadness, and even with that de-aging, it gives such a sense of like I'm not going to be like, oh, the weirdness from the de-aging was on purpose.
No.
But like with the de-aging, that weirdness that it gives you, I would say almost plays into that kind of building up of tragedy in a weird way. And how you emotionally connect with these characters.
That is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie.
Love the movie. Love the performances.
Yeah.
Love how it looks.
It's awesome.
And sounds and feels. I just don't think it's perfect. I think its pacing is still a little bit meh. I still get a little bored at parts.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't like always click, which makes me sad, but it's really hard to pull off a movie this long without getting kind of bored. So, I mean, I don't think that's a huge flaw.
Yeah, honestly, like, there wasn't a point in the movie where I'm like, I wish this was over. It was just, I want to see something different.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know. Very cool movie. I'm glad I finally watched it. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, Micah.
Then on the 19th, we sat down because I was super exhausted and I wanted a nice afternoon movie, and we decided for some reason to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street in the middle of the hottest month of the year.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, Micah. It's a classic.
It is a classic, and we had never seen it.
We had never watched it.
This was our first time watching A Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, our also first Wes Craven film that's not a Scream movie.
Yeah, we've talked quite extensively about quite a few Wes Craven films on this podcast, but this was our first, non-Scream one, so that was cool.
Yeah, and it was just a very fun movie. Again, we were both surprised how honestly kind of Italian it felt.
It does feel very like Giallo inspired.
Robbie
with,
was
its rock score and everything.
Robbie was like, maybe it's recency bias because I've just been watching a lot of those.
I've been watching a lot of Italian stuff.
I haven't been, and I think it definitely feels like it has a lot of Italian inspiration in terms of how it's styling itself and a lot of its editing and everything.
I was about to say, it's got like that hazy kind of look to it, and it has the like blaring synth rock stuff.
And it even has John Saxon, who has starred in a couple Argento films.
I mean, he's like a legend of like mystery murder movies in Italy, you know?
Yeah, so like clearly that was a factor, I'm pretty sure. So that was neat. And it's just got a nice sense of like, oh, this is like a classic Halloween movie.
It's very fun. I can't help but like have a good time watching it, you know?
I think really its biggest thing is it's just like, it's not always the most engaging because I don't think it's always the scariest thing in the world.
I was not that scared.
So I don't think everything really works about its pacing. And oftentimes with Freddy, I laughed more than I was like, ooh, scary.
Yeah, no, in my review, I was like, oh, I really like Freddy's stuff and I really enjoy like watching him, but I was never like actually scared, which seems to be like a big thing for a lot of people. They're like, oh, he's so like scary and intimidating.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the thing is like a lot of people are actually just scared of the concept of Freddy, which is a good like that's why Wes Craven made the film, because the concept
it's a really
of dying
good idea.
because of nightmares is a really good concept. But also I've done a lot of research into the actual phenomenon like that did that, and I think that's a lot scarier than Freddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mentioned in my review that I really like a lot of the Looney Tunes stuff, like him and his like extending arms and like him getting hit with a sledgehammer. It's so
like
good.
morphing through walls,
And him doing, like,
he
his-
literally just follows cartoon logic.
His falls down the stairs.
Exactly.
Well, it's like it's meant to be like dream logic, but like
yeah,
it
but
might
it's
as well.
cartoon logic.
Yeah.
In fact, I know it in like sequels and stuff. They start using like more cartoony sound effects and everything.
That's awesome.
So what can I say?
I really liked it.
It was really fun.
It was moody too.
Yeah, it's
like
got a
it.
nice like grit, but it's also really goofy.
Again, Wes Craven captures the teenage spirit in an inspiring way. I
Right.
like it.
Really, the biggest negative is that end scene. I just don't. It really
The
feels.
ending scene
It
is
really
so
feels
dumb.
weird and dumb, and it's. I don't get why it's there. The Freddy car, really.
Mobile.
What is up with that?
Rolling up? Yeah, weird weird way to end your movie, Wes.
Yeah, don't know about that one. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5. I'm shouting out the dogs playing billiards.
The
on
dogs playing
tapestry.
billiards. Yeah, why isn't that in the movie more?
That was the best part.
When Freddy was standing in front of it, I really, really wanted him to
to like
hop
acknowledge
into
it.
it.
Oh,
Like-
so he could play the pool with the dogs.
Yeah, like do something. Like he's like this dream
That's
creature.
funny.
Or like cartoon, and like me knowing cartoon logic, since I see him like kind of acting like a cartoon.
That's
If
funny.
I see a cartoon character standing in front of a funny picture, they're gonna hop into
They're
it,
gonna hop in the
and they're
funny
gonna
picture.
interact with
and they're
it,
gonna say something hilarious.
and they're gonna be like, dogs playing pool. That's what I wanted. That would have made it a 5 out of 5.
I see. Yeah, it was a fun movie though.
Then, Robbie, on the 20th, what did we do?
We went to the theater, baby. We went to an AMC so we could watch the 20th anniversary remaster of Old Boy.
Yeah, Park
Chan
Chan-wook. Our first time seeing Old Boy.
Yeah,
was
we'd never
very
seen
excited.
it before. That's like his most iconic movie by Letterboxd standards.
I had seen Lady Vengeance and Decision to Leave, and they were both outstanding.
Those are such good movies.
So,
oh my
like,
goodness.
his like most popular and like commercially successful movie, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, this feels like one of the definitive films of his career. Depending on who you ask, it could be The Handmaiden instead.
Yeah, but this was like more widely
Yeah,
influential and like because The Handmaiden. Not everyone is gonna go watch The Handmaiden. Not everyone is gonna go watch Old Boy. But like Handmaiden is definitely
Yeah.
like this is trying to be more mainstream.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's cool. I like Park Chan-wook. He's like one of my favorite directors, maybe ever. And Old Boy is a very cool movie.
Crazy to make a movie like this, first off.
This is like his most unhinged movie that I've seen. It's like so weird.
Crazy to also have this movie be so like successful. Like I get
Right?
why. Like it never takes it like so far in certain things.
Yeah.
Like I think because there was like an interview after the movie, and I think he actually, what's his face who was doing the interview, actually made a good point in the fact that like it pushes the boundaries about as far as you can go for like a mainstream
For like mainstream
kind of feeling
blockbusters.
movie.
Yeah, like this is about as far as you can go before people are like, I'm out of here.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Glad he did that. It makes for a not great time in certain ways and a great time in other ways.
I can see why it's like such a big influence on like action thriller movies after it. Like it rocks.
It practically like birthed the popularity of the revenge thriller.
Yeah, and it's like one of the best revenge thrillers I've seen because it has like a hilariously complex villain plan and his cartoonish revenge.
But also, why is this
It's so
movie
great.
so messed up?
Right? I was about to say, the more you think about Old Boy, the more you're like, why?
It's such a freaking messed up
Why would they
movie.
do that?
Why? You know, it's a lot. And I think it's really, really fantastic. I think, honestly, it's a masterpiece. I think, like I put in my review,
yeah.
it swings for the stars, not the fences, the stars. And it knocks it out of the park. I think it
Dude.
works really, really well tonally. Somehow it blends some of the most messed up stuff I've ever seen on screen with some genuinely really funny comedic moments
Yeah.
in a way that makes it not the most miserable experience in the world. And it's like gross, but not like too gross.
Yeah.
And like everything just blends super well. It's exciting, but it's not like just all action all the time.
I love how poetic a lot of it is too. Like it's a very elegant movie. in a
Yeah,
lot
and I
of
was
ways.
actually to that, and I don't want to like talk about this for forever. I just like
We could
really
do a
want
whole
to. I
episode
could do
on
yeah,
Old
I could do
Boy,
a whole
yeah.
episode on Old Boy. I really, the more I've sat with the movie, the more I've really loved it.
Yeah. No, I was a little hesitant to like give it like a perfect rating like I did until like now that I've sat with it for like a day, I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah.
But like reading in the 20th anniversary edition, they did a new translation, and I was actually reading quotes from this on IMDb and just reading some of the quotes which were from the previous translation, and they just were not as good, quite frankly. They're just, I think you should definitely watch the new remaster just for that. The new translation is really great, and it's very poetic.
It's very beautiful.
And
I like a lot of the like actual dialogue writing in this.
And again, Park Chan-wook is like a master at making his films feel very like operatic. Like I feel like he just makes cinematic operas, quite frankly.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And that's really cool in a way that I've never seen any other filmmaker work.
Park Chan-wook is like maybe the best filmmaker alive right now.
Right?
Maybe.
It's crazy. And man, the performances are also really fantastic in this.
Oh my goodness, the cast is so good.
The villain manages to be like the most dislikable person in the world.
Like half the Letterboxd reviews are like he's the biggest hater in cinematic history.
Right? It's so to a funny degree, but also you look at his face and his stupid bucket hat, and you're like, oh my gosh, I get it, Mr. Old Boy.
Dude, there's just it's just like a masterwork on like almost every front. I didn't even mention how like visually smooth it is,
and the way
which every single Park Chan-wook movie is,
and the emotional roller coaster, like genuine roller coaster it takes you on. Even though I knew the twist, the emotional roller coaster.
I didn't know anything about the movie when I watched it.
So yeah, one of the most memorable theater experiences I've had, one of the most memorable films I've seen, and I can see why it's so influential and loved.
It's crazy. Which I realize every time we like sit down and talk about like a Letterboxd favorite movie, I'm like, this is so cliche. Like, I feel like I have to acknowledge it every time.
Right.
Like, of course, two guys who have a film podcast love Old Boy.
Right.
Are you surprised?
Like, it's not, and I'll specify this, it is not a movie I would jump to go watch again. And I would never suggest you personally to go check it out.
I'm not going to be like, hey
Never.
guys, go watch Old Boy, because
it's like Ryan, who won the giveaway actually, to tie this around in a fun way.
Whoa, fun time.
In his review, he was talking about how like some of his friends just were casually like, hey, you should go watch Old Boy, which is a terrible way to be introduced to Old Boy. You should be given,
what does that say about someone?
You should be given Old Boy in the exact way the theater remastered is. Park Chan-wook comes in and he's like, hey guys.
I love his little introduction for the re-release.
This movie is messed up.
It's really messed up.
It's okay to laugh at it, but also it's really messed up. And then the movie starts. And that's how if you're watching Old Boy, that's how it should start.
Yeah. Like Micah said, very memorable movie. I wanted to go like pick up a camera after I finished it, as I do always when I watch a Park Chan-wook movie.
Crazy stuff. I gave it a 5 out of 5, of course.
I also gave it a 5 out of 5.
And that's what we watched. That's all we got.
That's the stuff we watched.
It was
baby.
like 5 movies for me.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. I would say, I guess go check out The Irishman.
The Irishman.
Go check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem in theaters. Give it some support. Give it some love.
Yeah.
Maybe let's say you're already a fan of Old Boy.
Yes, if you have seen Old Boy before and like
the remaster with the cool and better subtitles.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, everyone I know is like, oh, the subtitles are worth it, at least if you're gonna go watch it.
The captioning, like, literally, though, like, I did not expect it. I read the quotes, and I was like, wow, these are just worse.
Yeah.
So, go, if you've already seen the movie, go watch Old Boy.
Yeah.
And support it. I think it's neat.
It's a very good movie.
Hopefully, I think we're gonna get a physical release of it.
Yeah. Baby.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye, guys.